Yeah, man. I think that that's a profound point, is that no matter how much we understand this, no matter how much we read the content or understand it or hear it, boy, that's good to have in the files when you're going through the feeling of a fall apart or whatever. But in fact, it's needed. You need both of them. You need the feeling and the experience and the thing and the dark times to trigger you. But you also need things like Law of One or Course in Miracles to help you understand what the hell's going on. And then those can be permission slips to help you step into those higher things. Right.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I think the universe, I always think this way of like, why did that experience happen? I'm totally aware of the intelligence of life, that everything is happening for some kind of reason. And if I investigate, I usually see the reason, and I'm just increasingly amazed at the intelligence of life.
Yes.
But I went, why did I attract that experience of being on a fundamentalist radio show, being burnt and stuff? Well, I obviously needed that experience to be that aware of that part of my mind. And I think the more free we get, and we're getting down to those really subtle parts of the ego that are so subtle, we would never notice them without some huge catalyst to show you. Like, we sort of need bigger and bigger experiences to unearth those parts of us and bring it into the light of awareness. So it brings up the question of like, well, what is enlightenment then? Is enlightenment the total absence of anything at all in the system? Or is it a level of awareness that whatever surfaces from the system is immediately seen in the light of truth and then transcended, right? To me, if anything's enlightenment, it's that. Because I have a teaching on this that I'm definitely going to write a book on at some point. I call it freedom before, not freedom from. If I think I'm getting free from something, which is what the idea of enlightenment being a total absence of any distortions in your mind at all, you never get triggered. Well, if that's what enlightenment is, then enlightenment is applying a kind of freedom from something. And that's a big problem, because that implies a lot of bad things about our true nature. It implies I was really in bondage before.
Right.
I really was lost from my real nature before. It's possible to be bound again because I once was, but now I'm free. There's all these wrong ideas latent in that idea. So rather, we should see it as freedom before, meaning just this instant recognition right now. Oh, yes, that's right. My real self has never been involved in that, has always stood behind that, has always been earlier than that. Like the cobwebs of doubt and fear that occasionally arise in my mind are definitely not me, right? I am the awareness of all that stuff. So whatever part of the mind fears or doubts my true nature is definitely the false nature.
Yes.
And that's what I recognized when I saw that part of my mind that I was getting annoyed with. Like, I'm trying to meditate. Can you please shut up? You're the only one who cares about that. Wait a minute. Who am I talking to? I went, oh, the false nature. Like I was even conversing with it like part of it was me at all. And as soon as you have that recognition, it's a freedom before of like, oh, it doesn't even matter now that that voice is there. It doesn't matter because what I really am is not touched by it. And if anything's enlightenment to me, that's what it is.
You know, and by the way, we might just for a second pause the chat just to have like 20 minutes of flow without it for a second, just to let everyone watch it and be present. And then we'll come back to it too. So I also want to honor the chat and also let you guys ask. Aaron, do you have time past the top of the, do you have a little bit of time?
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. Because I want to go into one of the things you said, and I want to give kind of a tangible example of the difference that I see between freedom from and freedom before. Maybe there's something here to expand on. I have a couple examples of this, but I had one person who I worked with recently who told me that they were worried that they were judged, and someone told them, "I would never judge you." And I said, that doesn't help you with your problem though. Mm-hmm. Right? That's nice. Yes. That's really nice to know that they're not ever judging you, but that still implies you have a bunch of problems if you're judged, and there will be other people you perceive are judging you. I mean, that almost puts you in a position where this is the only person, right? And I said, you can receive that to have God's love and use that as training wheels or something to find yourself, but don't think to yourself that you getting someone in your life that would never judge you is the answer, because you're still circumstantially enslaved, right?
You got it.
So that's freedom before. Would you agree with that? Does that kind of feel? And
it's perfect.
And another example too is I had a person that was a famous, I don't want to say who it was, but someone who was not convicted, but accused of something illegal. And I know that he was in a position of saying, dude, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And I knew a lot of people were calling him, saying, either judging him or saying, I love you even, or I love you if you, I believe that you didn't do it. That's what they were saying. Sorry. I called him and left him a message and said, I just want you to know I love you even if you did.
Yeah.
It's not me saying you did or didn't. I'm not involved in that. I just want you to know you're loved, period. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, and that again is almost the same as getting the person's not judging you. But I just know that we're not helping him if everyone says, I believe you, because then he's still implying that there's no love if he did it. So he's down to this thing. Okay, all these people love me because I'm within their what I'm supposed to be right? Yep. And so to have the love of you're also loved even if you did it. Just find the love that you're loved no matter what, because this will help you heal whether you did it or not. It'll take you to a new frequency. It'll bring forgiveness. It'll birth a new you. There's all kinds of different stuff there. So being down to, am I loved because I did or didn't do something? Am I loved because I'm good or bad? Am I loved because this is our problem, is we think that we're loved based on our circumstances. I'm loved because I got straight A's. It goes all the way to I'm loved because I'm within the rule of authoritarian governments. I'm loved because, you know, I did the thing that I'm supposed to do as a husband or a wife. This is very conditional. And so when you finally get your circumstances how you want it, that's freedom from the problem, right? Yes. Finally, right? Like I got it how I want. Yeah, but you're completely stuck within that thing. And you don't see unconditional love or total freedom. You feel circumstances are right for a minute. You paid your taxes on time and all this stuff. But then you once again have made the world, the public, the government, your partner, your God more than the now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's that part of ego that is the doer of everything, that thinks my value depends on what I do.
Right.
Which can feel really great for a time while your next hit single is topping the charts or whatever.
Right.
Oh, I really feel good now. But then what happens when your next album bombs? Well, then you're really back on that wheel again, suffering greatly because you believed the underlying assumption the mind was selling you, which is your value depends on what you do. So ego will definitely reward you with some pride and self-gratification when it seems to be going right. But that's on the other side of the spectrum means it's going to definitely punish you for not getting at the outcome that it wants. And so there's no actual freedom there. Freedom from anything is still a total illusion, a very sneaky trick ego plays to keep you bound to personhood. When we realize who we truly are, what we really are is so expansive that it can't even be judged. Like whatever can be judged is not the real you, because how can you judge infinity, you know, or eternity? It's like, try to think a judgmental thought about infinity. Like, all right, infinity is just so, you know, it's just so like, there's nothing you can say about it, right?
Way to not be temporary.
It's my judgment. You're so expansive and stuff. Like that is your real nature. So any part of you that's concerned with what other people think, the way you're being perceived, like all of that is definitely the false nature. And just getting more and more clear as time goes on about true from false. Like, I think, dude, we overcomplicate the hound out of spiritual sadhana, that we make it about attaining these high states and understanding these deeply conceptual truths. But really, it's like, it's enough to just see the false as the false, you know, just always be discriminating from what's really you and what's the not self, what's not you. And when you do that continually, you build a relationship with your real nature such that you start to fall in love with it, right? And you see how pristine and perfect and innocent and pure and radiant it always is. It's like a sun that never sets. It's always beautiful and perfect. And when you see something like that in yourself, how could you want anything else at that point? It's such an easy choice. The problem is we don't really see who we are, and we're so fixated on the false nature that, oh, of course you're going to suffer if you're always judging yourself by that standard.
And you know what's interesting is if you go through levels of spirituality, like how we see the high of whatever winning the lottery is countered by the low of you didn't make money or whatever. It goes to the high of, it's the same thing with states internally, right? Like I'm feeling a high state, like you were just talking about getting to a high state. That's the same. It's still a circumstantial, it's through emotions, but it's like I'm now trying to chase the high state over be with the now and become the presence now. And recently we had Victor Odo on. I don't know if you know him, but we were talking with him and it was great. And we're talking about, he had a major high state and experienced some really magical things, you know, kind of an out of body thing he was sharing with us. And then, you know, people were asking, how do I get there? And it's like, that's the new winning the lottery, right? Yes. Is that
spiritual lottery?
Yeah. Yeah. And this now is more and not needing to get anywhere. Would you agree that's a huge step, not needing to get somewhere else because it's bringing up what it needs to bring up, right?
Yeah, that's the no path, or the direct path is see what's true right now and be convicted of truth. Like that's what we need. And sometimes I'll say, like, we think we need more freedom, you know, like we're trying to get more freedom, but it's like, well, let's investigate if that's true. That'd be something I would want to know. Do I really need more freedom, or do I already have all the freedom I need? I just haven't been utilizing it. So look within yourself right now and find out.
Ooh.
Do you have the freedom to give attention or deny attention from anything you want? Any thought in your mind, any sense image happening, try it. See if you have the freedom. Have a thought, think it, and then just consciously direct your attention elsewhere and ignore it. We can all do that in the next 30 seconds and prove to ourselves, yeah, it seems like I do have the freedom of attention to give or deny attention from anything I want. So my question is, why do you need more freedom than that?
Ooh.
You know, maybe you just need to accept your freedom. Maybe you need to build the courage to accept, I'm as free now as I'll ever be. I'm as free gets. I'm actually so free that I can stay here imagining bondage and old stories and BS stuff that's just going to keep my pain circulating. I have so much freedom, I can imagine that I'm bound. But how long does it take, you know, to escape from an imaginary prison? Only as long as it takes to unimagine it. So it's actually because you have so much freedom that you think you're bound. If we really sat with that, I think, and let that sink into our being, some radical shifts will start to happen.
That is almost like, that is the crux of today's call. I think that is so big, that to take in the fact you're so free, what I'm hearing you're saying, you're so free that you often escape it. Because by the way, the ego doesn't want to be free. It wants to chase freedom, but it doesn't want to be free.
Yep.
Right. Would you agree with that? Because the ego is trying to get to an outcome, but the worst thing that could have to happen to the ego is that outcome, right? Because then it has no job, right? You lose your job the second you get that outcome. So the ego can't handle that you're so free. So in your total freedom, which is bigger than the character you've been playing, your total freedom, once you escape it, like you're looking for freedom, if you just realize you're completely free, you would experience all the freedom you want. And I love the line, what was it you said that Mary wrote down? Why do you need more freedom than that? Right? Is it really in when that person understands you? Is it really in, when you get that bank account that way? And have we just been escaping tons of freedom in the name of chasing freedom? It'd be like someone's
What
just
a paradox.
someone's handing you millions of dollars and you're just like, no. And you're running down the street trying to find a much less money and thinking that's the answer. Meanwhile, you're ignoring what's being handed to you. Not to use money as an example. I know there's all these ways we've made this, but like someone's just trying to give to you now, but you're not receiving it. So you're chasing some other thing over here that's less and calling that the money, right? Yeah. But the truth is you can't, it would be so much death to the ego for you to receive how free you are.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why it wants to keep you away from that discovery at all costs. It doesn't care what avenue it uses to keep you distracted, as long as you're distracted. And that could be, oh, I'm just going to meditate 10 hours a day till I get free. Like, as long as it keeps you pursuing something, you won't be in the mode of discovering something, which is always here now. Right. So the analogy is like a woman who her husband dies and leaves her this huge inheritance or whatever, but it's buried under her house, under the floorboards, and she doesn't know about it. So she's poor and runs out of money, and she goes begging on the street with her poor little daughter for pennies. And all the while, she's got millions of pounds of gold under her floorboards. So it's like, is she poor or is she rich? And you could look at it either way, right? You could say, well, for all intents and purposes, she's poor because she doesn't know that she's wealthy. So we are sort of bound, but only bound by our own ignorance, right? Not really bound in truth, in reality. We just have to discover what's real, what's true, which is that you're already free. There's an analogy of a man who's trapped in a triangular room with no third wall, and he's just so focused on, there's no door, there's no window, there's no escape. Help, I'm stuck, that he hasn't turned around to really investigate if there's a third wall actually trapping him, right? So a sage walks by and says, excuse me, sir, what's wrong? What's your predicament? And he's like, I'm stuck in this room. There's no cracks in the walls. There's no way to escape. Help, help. And so the sage says, well, why don't you turn around and see if there's a third wall, for you shall see that you are not actually in bondage. And so he turns around and sees no third wall, and immediately gets, jubilated by the discovery, and starts running down the street, pumping his fists. And the sage says, excuse me, sir, why are you running? And the guy's like, well, because I'm free now. And he goes, but you were never bound. And then the guy goes, oh yeah, I guess that's true. And then it settles in that he was never actually trapped in the room. Right. So he just goes on his way peacefully. And I think that's kind of what enlightenment feels like when you realize freedom before. Like, yes, it's a very liberating message, but it's actually so liberating that it brings such a balance to your psyche that you're just like in this natural state of acceptance of what is. Because even to be excited that you're free, like overly excited, still implies that you were bound, which is not the natural state either. Right. And gives this type of freedom a power that you're going to keep seeking. You're going to keep seeking because you want that excitement more than the freedom. Right. Yeah, you got it.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you were truly blessed by it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to now be partnering with an amazing conscious supplement company called ORGANIFI. A lot of you know that I'm also passionate about holistic health and nutrition, and ORGANIFI has been a staple in my daily health routine for a very long time. They make the most delicious, organic, and high-quality superfood products that I've ever come across. And as you know, a healthy body is a great benefit for spiritual growth, because the health of your body directly translates to the health of your mind. Everything is connected. So feeding your body with high vibrational superfoods straight from the earth is one of the best ways to create that environment for a healthy mind. But getting all the superfoods that your body needs in one day can admittedly be a little bit tough. And that is where ORGANIFI can add a ton of value to your life. I personally start every day off with green, which is ORGANIFI's really delicious blend of 11 superfoods like ashwagandha, chlorella, and moringa. And then in the middle of the day, I'll usually have a scoop of red, which is a delicious energy blend full of 13 adaptogens and antioxidants from berries to recharge your mind and body with a delicious blend of organic superfoods. Your body is an amazing organic machine, but it needs the right fuel and signals to function at its best. And red is full of adaptogens sourced from organic herbs and medicinal mushrooms. And these are compounds that balance hormones, prime your energy pathways, and alleviate stress. So instead of crushing your adrenal system with huge doses of caffeine every day, adaptogens work with your body and give you natural, sustained energy all throughout the day. What's most important to me though about ORGANIFI is the way that they go above and beyond to ensure the cleanest and purest ingredients in all of their products. They are USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, certified glyphosate-free, and absolutely zero fillers. So I never go anywhere without ORGANIFI, and I never miss a day without taking it. And ORGANIFI is offering a super generous discount of 20% off of your entire order when you use the coupon code Abke at checkout. So if you want to upgrade your health regimen with ORGANIFI, you can click on the link in the description box below to learn more about all the amazing products that they offer. And I promise you that your mind and your body are going to thank you for it.